Well, I'm so early, but there's nothing to do anywhere. So I figure I might as well come and hang out with y'all because it certainly is a quiet, nothing market at the moment. Again, I mean, we're down. The markets are lower today, and I think they're going a lot lower. This my views and opinions have not changed. The dead cat bounce for the bear market rally. Not an issue. In fact, somebody commented on this morning. I said, "Look, I think they're going down. They'll be down today." And here we are. And again, I don't think we're going straight down. Again, this isn't. It's not like you just say, "Okay, well, it's going down. That's what we're going to do." But I do think that you've got a lot of very problematic issues in play. And I mean, another very, very light volume day, which is kind of pathetic. Kind of makes you want to puke. And including a lot of things that are going on in this country right now. But, at the end of the day, the market is the market, the price action is the price action. And that's what you have. That's the only true guide you have, because nobody knows where we're going next. Okay. We can think we know. Okay. And I certainly think, and I just said it on Liz Clayman, if you're watching. Okay. I think we're going down another minimum 20%. I think that'll be the next leg down. Okay. Now, again, and I gave some stocks that I am short in my trading account, but I am long in my hedging, so I can say I can give disclosure that I own them. But again, I think that we look like shit. Excuse me. I mean, again, nothing looks very good. It's painful when it consolidates and when it churns back and forth, which we can all attest to. But overall, I think we look pretty pathetic. Across the board. But the biggest concern that I have is the lack of any action, any true volume. And this goes back to what my theory has been all along, is that the commercials are allowing the retailers to try to buy these dips, and they just can't. I think they want to be desperately short, but I don't think that they can let guns a-blazing yet right now, because if they do, it'll just crash the market. And they now that they mind a crash, but I don't think they're positioned where they want to be for the eventual market meltdown that I think we're going to see. Okay, remember, and you can go back in every big sell-off in history. It didn't just show up one day. Everybody wants to put it down into October of 2008 or into March of 2001 or October of 87. Those moves didn't just happen that day. Okay. Those moves were setting up for an extended period before that. Okay. In fact, I tell this story often about, there was a publication that we used to get on the trading floor in 87. It was actually, they put it in the office. It was by a gentleman by the name of Dick West. Okay. And Dick West, starting in August of 87, every day on the bottom of his newsletter was sell, 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 every single day. And there was plenty of down movement before he ever got to the disaster of 22%. There was plenty of down action before that. In 87, I mean, in 08, the down move started long before October. The same thing in 01. Okay, so again, we're seeing the markets breaking and nobody's paying attention. We're still we get the dip buyers. And I'm not saying there's not going to be rallies. Okay, but what I am saying is that I think there's a much higher probability that this market melts down. Okay, and I have upped my forecast from 40 to 60% to 50 to 70%. Okay. Because again, what I'm seeing, what I'm watching ain't very good. Now, again, it has nothing to do with what happens tomorrow or the next day. Again, we get too confused, and we want to use our opinions so bad that we make things that aren't there. Okay. You have to still follow the price action of the market. Okay. You cannot do things that are gambling when it comes to the market. You have to follow the market. Okay. So even though I could be proved right. Okay. I could be wrong part of the way there. And again, that's why you have to continue to play defense. Know that if you have a position on, know where you're going to exit when it's wrong. Because again, I don't know how fast it's going to go down. I mean, I think by the end of the year, I mean, we could really tank. Okay. But we are in the summer. We are in a very quiet market to begin with. I mean, from a volume standpoint. Usually you get these reversal kind of days. I mean, listen, we were up pretty big this morning. You get these reversal days, there's usually some volume to go with it. Well, there's no volume to go with this market. Okay. And of course, we've got another holiday next week. We got July 4th, which there will be no call on July 4th, next Monday. And it's another holiday weekend, which means that is the jobs number on Friday. Anybody know? I haven't looked it up yet. Does anybody know, are the jobs this Friday, or did they put them off a week? Because I'll give you my forecast depending on if that number comes out or not. Okay. If anybody knows, is the jobs number this Friday the 1st? Because sometimes when it falls on the 1st, they move it the following week. It's the 8th. There you go. Thank you. Okay. So now my forecast is by Thursday afternoon, this will be a morgue. There'll be nobody here. There'll be nobody trading. Okay. All the professionals will be in the Hamptons or wherever they're going. Okay. And that doesn't mean that they can't trade. It used to mean more before all the electronic trading. Okay. But now now that I can trade from my phone wherever I'm at, it doesn't mean as much. But still, we're already quiet. You're going into a holiday weekend, it will get quieter. Okay. And I would assume by Thursday, I don't think anybody will be working Friday without the jobs number. Okay. So by Friday, by Thursday afternoon, Friday, it'll be no business. Okay. And I don't expect any business. And whatever comes will be, could be crappy in either side, because it will be on no volume. Okay. It'll be on a lack of participation to the overall market. But we look bad. I mean, again, forget about, anything, but if you just look at fundamentally, and I'm not a fundamentalist, but if you look at fundamentally at the economy, not in good shape. Okay. We are not in good shape. Okay. We've got high inflation, and you've got a Federal Reserve that has no clue how to fix it. Okay. Because at the end of the day, they should have never stopped raising rates. They should have started when Ben Bernanke panicked in 2013. We should already be at a Fed funds rate of 4 or 5 or 6%. Okay, because we're still at nominal negative rates. Okay, and you've already got mortgages that are exploding. The last I saw, now I'm sure somebody here can verify, but I saw 6.25, 6.5. Okay, now I just bitched at 4.25 not that long ago. Okay, and we're already over 6. Now again, I could be wrong. It could have changed. All right. Again, I don't know, so I'm not going to say that it is the gospel, but you'll let me know. Anybody, I'm sure that I know I got a lot of real estate people out there, so you'll be able to tell me. But again, crude oil has been under a little bit of pressure, recently, and okay, so what? It was up today. This still doesn't change the overall view. Okay, that oil prices are going to Pluto. Okay, President Biden can go out and beg all he wants for more oil. Does anybody here really believe that anybody out there that is going to help us and give us oil? Does anybody believe that? And I'm just curious, again, it doesn't make you wrong, and it doesn't make me right, because I don't think there is. But if you believe it, fine. But why would anybody give up the opportunity to, first of all, to take a shot at the U.S.? Okay, but give up profit? Why would anybody give up the profit? Okay, that's the real question you have to ask yourself: is why would anybody give up the potential profit? Okay, so not only do they like to see the U.S. suffer, which I believe is the case. I mean, listen, we've been very weakened as a nation. Okay. And you know that there's competition out there. Okay. And whether you want to call them an enemy or competition, they're going to take every shot they can to take advantage of the United States of America. Okay. This is not something that should be a secret to anybody. You know, but they are now stepping on us. So do you think that there's going to be any chance? I mean, when our leader has to go to the criminals of the world looking for a break, where do you think we are? Okay. So, again, oil's, it's basically, if you look at it from the top at 131 and at the bottom, the recent bottom at, at 95. So where are we? We're halfway in between, a little bit less than halfway. Okay. Arabs, China, Russia, look at, again, that's always been the same case. Okay. But when you have weakness in the White House, you're going to get this kind of abuse. Okay. That's just a matter of fact, not a matter of opinion. Okay. But, natural gas has fallen off the face a little bit. Now it's still over $6, at least last I looked. It could have fallen from there. It still is over $6. Okay. But, again, this is because of this crappy energy policy. Okay. And I don't know if any of you believe in the climate change or not. I do not, but that's, again, I'm not going to say that I'm right. I just, from the evidence that I have and the people that I talk to, it's bunk. But either way, again, I don't understand why you have to have these gas holidays and all this other stuff when you have the ability. You're going to burn the oil anyways. So you're going to put it into the environment one way or the other. So why not just take care of it yourself? Okay, just somebody from that side of the aisle, explain to me why you want to destroy the middle class for something you couldn't get accomplished for the next 35 to 40 years if you did it perfectly. So if somebody please tell me, okay, with all the anger, do you believe we will have a calm election? No, I don't think it'll be a calm election. I don't think anything is calm. I personally believe, and again, it doesn't make me right. So again, I'm since I'm running this, I get to express my opinion as well. And I will always share your opinion if you give me one. Okay. But I don't believe it'll be calm. I believe there's a lot of funny business still to come. But I think the party in power right now, the haters, the squad, which are, in my opinion, the squad is America's haters. Okay. Again, you can say I'm nuts. I'm not. I'm not going to argue. I'm just giving you my opinion. I think the squad hates the United States of America. I think they're doing everything in their power to destruct it. Okay. And I think that the whole administration and the whole left side of the aisle right now, because they're so far left, okay, is creating a lot of this violence on purpose and I can't ever remember this much violence. Okay. And this much killing. Okay. And I go back to, when Martin Luther King and the Chicago riots of '68. Okay. And I don't ever remember it being this bad all over. And I don't think there's a safe spot in the world right now. And this country. Well, I think I've listened. If you listen to my stuff, I said there's going to be a revolutionary or civil war here anyways. So, I'm not, that wouldn't surprise me one bit. I expect it. Okay. The question will always be when. All right. At the current rate of destruction of the middle class, how much longer do you think they're going to stand for? Okay. That's the question. Now, again, are any of you going to start it? Are any of you going to participate? You don't have to answer. I'm just saying that, again, it's going to take a strong group of people that will be willing to sacrifice their lives for a better U.S., if that's the case. So, but in the meantime, we get back to business, right? We're here about business. That's what we do, talk markets, right? Investing and whatever. You got all kinds of issues that are coming. Calm election? No, there's not going to be a calm election. Look, we know, there's a lot of things going on, and who knows where we're going to end up with this when this thing is all said and done. Okay. We know that right now that small business has been destroyed. Okay. We know that they continue destruction because again, if you're trying to get to the Great Reset, which is what I believe this party wants, okay, then you're never going to get out of it. Okay, they're going to bust you and do their best, and they may not bust the older folks, but they're going to certainly prevent the youngers from getting that way. Okay, to get to the real money. Okay, and I think that's, again, these are issues that, you know, that any time that you create poor people, anytime that you create the lack of opportunity, hunger, all those things, that's what made every horrible leader that ended up in death, okay, powerful. Hitler, okay, Jonestown, these people, they were preying on those that, you know, because you get to a certain point, you know, why do you think the gangs are doing so well right now? Recruiting. You make people hungry, you break people, they're going to go to wherever they think they can get it back. Okay. Again, this gangland stuff is murder. And I mean, really murder. I recovered American fugitives from outside the U.S. for 25 years, and I've never felt so close to the edge. Well, you're not going to get term limits, right? You look at the things that we want to do and the things that we think should be done are not going to be done as quickly as you want them to be done. Okay. Look, I'm in full agreement, but I've been in that agreement for, I don't know however many years that I've been in the public eye. Okay. We're not getting term limits so fast because, again, you have to have what? You have to have agreement. And the same reason that you don't have Social Security at 80. Social Security should not be at 65, 66, or 67. Okay. That is not the Ponzi scheme that is known as Social Security. Okay. Was developed when the living age was 3 years past. The average living age was, you couldn't collect your retirement until 3 years past the average. Well, the average is no longer 62. The average is about 78 or 77, I think. Okay. So, but they're not going to do that. Okay. Well, communists will always look, again, there's always, as far as I'm concerned, was this election stolen from President Trump? Yeah, I think so. But again, once the election was over, once it was declared final, I'm not going to sit here and live the rest of my life worried that it was stolen. Every election that we've ever had in my lifetime has probably had some funny business going on. Okay. It's just the better the technology, the better you can cheat. Okay. Look, let's just face it. Okay. And let's face the other fact that the country, our government, our leader, and this applies to all of our governments in my years. Okay. Doesn't matter which party. Okay. They're always well behind the times. Okay. They are always going to get outfoxed by the criminals. Okay. It doesn't matter because it always ends up coming back down to money. Okay. What's wrong with Oliver Nixon? He was a great president just because he got caught. Okay. I mean, you know, he opened China, if you like that fact. Okay. But again, the point is that if you let them, you know, because that's why they hire a lot of criminals, okay, who outfox the system. You know, we don't like to be ahead of the game. That is a problem. They don't want to spend the money. They'd rather give the money away to, you know, to whatever, because it creates votes. Spending money on defending yourself in front of time is not what they want to do. Okay. I mean, you can look at any great tragedy. Much of it could have been created or eliminated before it got there. Okay. You know, we forget about the things that we decided not to do because it was money. And suddenly you wish you would have done it. And you could certainly, you know, our power grid is in great danger. Do you think the hack of the pipeline was any big deal? You know, according to President Biden, it was no big deal. It was a private company. It doesn't matter. Well, you know, again, you can look at it however you want. It put a lot of destruction on the East Coast for quite a bit of time now. What do you think is going to happen if they grab onto our power grid? And you know they have the power to do so. Okay. I mean, if you don't think that we could go out and destroy and take somebody's power grid over, take something over, okay, we may have more trouble because they're much more defensive. But you don't think that Russia or China could grab our power grid right now? Okay. You know, I think you're sorely mistaken. I think you're living in fantasy island. Okay. Because we're at war always. You know, it may not be a fighting war. It may not be, a shooting war. It may not be a war of death, but we're at a war of technology, and we're at a war at who can control always. And, there's things that happen, especially now that's the bad side of technology. Okay. The bad side of technology is that, if you're really good at it, you can hack into just about anything. Okay. You brought up $10 wheat corn, $15 wheat, 200 beans. You're predicting that for this year. I think they could go dramatically higher. Okay. I think the grain markets are going dramatically higher. I think that, again, right now you're seeing some selling pressure. Look, again, you're in a time of nothing. You're in an area of nowhereville right now. Nobody gives a shit. Okay. I mean, you had big margin calls. People got to sell something to raise margins. Investors want to support that bad position. Okay. That's a fact, that investors will first support a crappy position and liquidate from winners to make a margin call on a loser. Don't ask me why, but that's what they'll do. Okay. I think the grain markets are going to skyrocket. We're short right now. I would like to be long, but again, I'm not in a hurry to get long. We'll have plenty of time to get in if the move comes that I think is going to come. Okay. And I think that, we make too many mistakes, like, oh, well, it's got to be now. I don't think it's got to be now. I think you have to be defensive and have to be hedged at all times. Okay. So then you don't have to worry about what the next big move is. Okay. But I do believe that the grain markets are going to explode. Okay. Higher, because again, there's going to be a food shortage. Okay. Again, if you don't think there's going to be a food shortage, you're out of your mind. Okay. So where's all that grain going to come from? Okay. Who's going to cover all the fuel costs that continue to go up? Who's going to pay for the fertilizer? And, again, just by pure math, okay, these things have to happen. Now, it doesn't have to happen today. Nobody thinks that far into the future of what the ramifications are going to be, okay, in any market. Okay. Now, we talked about it in crude in the beginning, and there was ups and downs in crude, but we said the day after the election, crude's going over 100. Okay. Now, you can listen to them blame the war, but crude was already well over 100 long before the war got it. Okay. But the war is going to be responsible for high wheat prices. Okay. Now, again, right now, wheat's been going down. Okay. You get sellers coming in. Remember, just because you think it's so, or I think it's so, doesn't mean it's going to be, and doesn't mean it's going to be today. We cannot time the market to that certainty. Okay. But at some point, you will create a demand and a need. And as always, it'll be when it's too late. Okay. Instead of the preparation ahead of time. Okay. Now, my farmers are happy. They're all hedged and have been taking in the money on the downside and rolling down their bases. Okay. Which is what the objective of hedging is. Okay. While still having the upside wide open. And that's what we always want to focus on. Okay. Is having the upside wide open. Okay. So that we can get paid. Okay. But also being protected to the downside. And that goes for anything that you're trading or investing in. Okay. Is to have protection or an exit point, whichever it happens to be, either a protection or an exit. Okay. And that is what it's about in this business. Okay. Is protection, exit, be prepared. Okay. And that's why, again, so even though I'm short, and again, I give you full disclosure of what my positions are all the time. Okay. I will never mislead you or tell you something that is not factual of what I own. Okay. But I would certainly like to be an owner of the grains, but it's just not the right time. Okay. And there certainly is room to go to the downside. I mean, we're coming into July 4th. Typically we get a rally around this time of year, and typically you can close your eyes and sell into it. Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see what the end of the week looks like. I know there's some news coming out, which I don't really give a rat's ass about, but we know there's some news coming out. Okay. But again, commodities have really taken it on the chin recently, right? Cotton was down limit today for a while. So, what does it mean? Does it mean that it's over? Does it mean we're no longer going to have rallies? Well, no, it doesn't mean anything. I mean, we're short anyway, so it's fine. But does it mean that the end is here? I don't think so. I think you investors and big commercials forget, okay, and they start to pound in and press off on their positions, which is what always creates the reversal rally. It's what I think created the dead cat bounce we just had. Okay, I think that is now over. And like I said, if you saw me on Liz Clayman, I said those exact words. Okay, I think it's over. I think the rally was over, and we'll get another one at some point, but I think it'll come when we get down another 10 to 20% from here. Okay, and I think you get another rally. They show up unannounced. Okay, markets don't make announcements. Okay. Now, again, the only problem you have in this week is what? You've got a holiday week, okay, which thin volume can always do anything. Okay. U.S. farmers are facing a dry summer. Well, again, look, we've talked about this for a long time. Okay. We've talked about what's going on in the food world. Okay. Not only the high price of fuel, okay, which is killing them. Not only the high price of fertilizer and the components of if they can get it, okay, but there's other hidden factors. And of course, interest rates rising is not the farmer's friend either, okay. They already pay a couple of points over what anybody else pays anyways, because they're considered a risk loan. End of the quarter, I mean, look, at anything can happen. I don't make those kind of predictions. I gave you a macro opinion, which at this particular time is supported by our positions. But for example, my grain opinion is not support. I am opposite of my grain opinion because I will never fight what I'm supposed to be. Okay, that's not what I do. Okay. What's up, brother? How you feeling?
Hi there. Better late than never. Sorry.
That's all right. How you feeling? You feeling better?
Well, the doctor put me on some antivirals, which I started today.
Okay. All right.
Hopefully that'll take care of it.
All right. No, I made it through with nothing, but it's a pain in the ass. I'll tell you that.
I didn't even know you had it.
Yeah, I had it. I was in quarantine by myself.
We are quarantined. We are quarantining.
Yeah, I was quarantined, and it was like a bad cold. I mean, for me, it doesn't. Everybody's different, but for me, it was not more than a bad cold.
Julie and I are both. We had fevers and.
Yeah, Andy had COVID. Is right.
Yes, Andy has COVID. I have it right now.
All right, he's gonna give it to you on the phone. Better get off.
No. I'm happy to be here, and it's a pleasure to be here. And I'm sorry I missed last week. I missed you all, and we will plot through, right, Bubba?
Hey, listen, you gotta do your thing. And how's your dad?
Well, that's he's in the hospital, and they can't give him the antivirals because of the other medications he's on.
Right.
But he's had vaxes and boosters, and hopefully that'll be enough. And I hope that my mother gets to take him home soon, and that she doesn't get it, but I think she's probably going to get it because everyone who was there.
Yeah, well, that is, listen, it's like a bad cold. Everybody gets it around you.
Everyone in this world is going to get this thing. I was hopeful. I was a last holdout, but
I was a holdout until a month ago. So
not so lucky. But you tell me when I could start bitching. I mean, I'll be happy to talk.
Fire when ready.
I got my big bitch is the airlines here. All right. So let me tell my story. Julie and I had a flight on Thursday. I think it was July 16th to go to Fort Lauderdale on JetBlue. We saw that the flight was delayed by an hour, but we went to the airport. P.S. We waited there for 5 hours. And my brother in Queensland, Australia, texted me to tell me my flight was canceled an hour before JetBlue told us it was canceled. We went up to the counter to try to arrange another flight. They said, sorry, we can't do anything to help you. And we had the whole family down there. So we had to go and get on a Southwest flight 48 hours later. And basically, they gouged us. They charged us for 2 coach tickets in the back of the plane over $2,000 to get down there. Do you believe that?
Yeah, listen, there, you know, there's also,
and I'm sure we got the COVID at the airport, and then we gave it to the whole family, which is, it's just unbelievable. It's an unbelievable situation.
You know, they and I think the pilots, some of the unions are battling for more dough as well, which is creating some of the problems as well.
Yeah, they said it was weather, pilots, crew, everything, and they're just canceling flights. And the airport was a zoo.
Yeah.
Luckily, coming home, it was on time. That was, thank God, because we were both feeling lousy. And you know, when you go to Florida, Bubba, and especially in June, it's very hot and humid out, so you feel blah. And then you go into the air conditioning and you're freezing. And
right.
You know, so it kind of masks, you know, that something isn't right. And then when we got home and I had a little fever, I self-tested on Saturday morning, tested positive. My wife, I made her test. She was positive.
Right.
Went and got PCR tests. But, you know, what a disaster. I mean, it was wonderful to spend Father's Day with my father and his granddaughter, his great-granddaughter. But, you know, the result was ridiculous. It was a sign. We should have just bailed on the trip.
You know, it's a brutal time, and of course there's a lot less flights now too, because of course they don't have as many passengers anymore traveling. Yeah. So there's a number of less flights. The only good news is, unfortunately, it wasn't for you because you got screwed. But if you had, you know, the flying time is much less than is prognosticated, because of course there's not as much air traffic. So.
Right. And you know what the other interesting thing is? Everyone is complaining. Price gouging. Everyone's business's costs are going up. And this is the administration we're living in. Listen, COVID made problems, but the policies have exacerbated these problems and have made them, you know, multiples worse than they would be.
Well, welcome to Biden's America.
And it's despicable. It's just,
well, of course it's despicable. I mean, look, I asked the question before you got here, and I just said one simple thing. I said, look, we know if you're a climate change believer, okay, fine. But at what cost do you want to wait? You know, if you're going to go out and beg the criminals who want to hold us up for oil, why don't you just produce your own until we get it under control?
Right. And their answer to drive EVs, I mean, what do they think these metals come from, and how do you extract them from the earth? And you know, that's very energy intensive and traditional energy intensive. And on top of that, how do you get rid of them? That's very toxic to the environment. So they haven't figured it out. The problem is they're just using it as a political scare tactic, you know, and this is really the tragedy that we're living under now.
Right.
The tragedy.
Listen, it's 100%. Look, you've got a bad situation. And as I said before you got here as well, the squad, especially, who are very, very good at their social media, my opinion is they hate America.
Are people that stupid?
Yeah, I think so.
Isn't that sad?
I think so.
It's so sad.
Look what's going on. That's all you have to do is just look at what's going on and understand, does it have to be going on? Okay. And that's the question. I say, no, it doesn't have to be going on, but it is.
All you have to do is pump more oil. All you have to do is have a logical foreign policy. We don't have any of that. We have an administration that wants to divide and conquer. Divide and conquer. Sun Tzu, The Art of War.
Right.
They should write
a lot of his stuff.
The Art of Stupid War. I mean, you know, I always gave that old saying, the masses are asses. You know, I tell you, I always gave people a lot more credit, but I'm losing my faith in humanity with this.
Well, you should be losing your faith because they don't care. You know, look, there you have more they've created through our education system, through everything we do. They've taken away any chance to be financially literate. Okay. And you bring up these young kids, that don't realize how much they have to pay for everything or how much their parents have to pay for it. And they bring them up like this.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was watching, because I don't have much to do, other than, writing is very difficult for me now because it's hard to concentrate with my head exploding. But
Right.
Talking is okay for a while. But I was watching it yesterday and I saw an interview with Tim Scott from South Carolina. And that's exactly what he said, what you just said, Bubba. He said, financial education is the route to lifting people out of poverty. That, dividing and blaming for what happened years ago and over a century and a half ago, this is not going to help. This is just going to be divisive. Educate financially. Bring people out of the cycle of poverty, the family. These are the things that are critical. And you know what? In the meantime, pump oil so we don't have to rely on the criminals in OPEC or that maniac in Russia.
You mean pump oil so that inflation isn't 20%?
Exactly.
Pump oil so that we could actually produce something in this country again without manufacturing contracting once again. Don't you think that we would want to do our own thing? Because basically we were the power of the world. Okay. Don't you think that we should be taking care of our own business? And don't you think Americans would be happy to pay a little bit more to have goods that were made in this country?
Of course they would, and drugs that were made in this country.
And now isn't that, I talked about this last week when you were gone, but isn't that the crock of shit? Okay, that our drugs are manufactured in China. Okay, now if they sent COVID over here, which I believe that they did, okay, it was proven that it was a man-made disease. Now again, there could be arguments of whether they sent it over or not sent it over. I say they did. That's my opinion. Okay,
I don't disagree.
Go ahead.
I said I don't disagree. Is it China?
Okay. So what do you think they could do with your prescription medicine?
Right.
Okay. So again, I'm so unhappy.
The illicit drug dealers, they wouldn't be, without demand, there's no supply. Supply don't matter, So, if you don't get everyone hooked on fentanyl and all this crap that people are using, then it doesn't matter how much supply they are if they're not hooked, if they don't need it.
Let me ask you a question. I want to ask something about fentanyl. Okay. I was working out this morning at like 1:30 at the club. Okay. And I saw a headline go by that one person or one group had enough fentanyl to kill 12 million people. Was that right? Did I read that right?
Yeah, you read that right. Yes. And they're lacing, other illicit drugs, the ecstasy and all this other crap that young people get into. Maybe not only young people, but they're lacing it with this fentanyl. This stuff is basically heroin, and it's deadly. And if it's not dosed correctly, and it's horrible. It's coming through the border with this immigration wave. It's just coming through.
I saw it on my favorite TV show, Queen of the South, fentanyl.
It's unbelievable.
War cells, politics. Listen, they rake in the money anyways. This is the problem with our system, and this goes to every party. This is not Democrat. This is not Republican. This is our politics in general. Every one of them is grabbing and stealing something. That's why you hear the sausage making. Every bill that gets passed has some piece of crap underneath it that somebody's benefiting from, and we're not. We're paying for it.
And you know what? I'm a Republican, and I'm going to tell you the Republicans are just as bad as the Democrats.
They're 100%. Look, they wanted Trump out just as bad as the Democrats did.
It's you know what? He gets such a bad rep. He's to blame for everything. He's a horse's ass, and he's got a big mouth and a big ego. But you know what? He did a lot of good stuff. This shit wouldn't be. Excuse me. This stuff would not be going on, was it not?
Not under his watch. It wouldn't be happening. No,
it would have been. It wouldn't be to this degree. Would it be? Would we have problems? Yeah.
No, we wouldn't. We'd be exporting oil. You would never have Russia, Ukraine would have never happened.
No, but what I'm saying is, the virus we had We had.
Yeah, well, we had it 1 year. Yeah, 100%.
And the aftermath of the virus, we had. That's
Yeah.
pump money into the economy because they had to under him, they had. But the continuation, what this administration has done is just poured so much more fuel on the fire. And I will tell you one thing that I believe. I believe that with Putin, he would have gotten on a plane and gone there, and he would have basically put a leash on that dog.
I agree. Again, I've said this before. Look, I think the problem is, and when you look at it from the full lens, is a lot of this was created for nonsense, and it didn't need to be done the way it was handled.
I mean,
okay?
look at
the extra stimulus packages did not need to be done.
No.
The next big battle here is watch all these evictions that are going to start to come, because why the landlords had to get screwed out of this whole thing. You own a building, you don't own them for free. It costs money to run a building, and yet they gave a rent moratorium. What the hell is the guy supposed to do?
That's right. No, I know. All right, we're whipping a dead horse. I'm sorry.
Whoever it is, an anonymous, either identify yourself or get off. How's that? Or I'll get you off.
So I want to just say to everyone, thank you for the best wishes, and I will get better. And this is it is what it is, and I'm glad I got it now and not in the beginning when they didn't have the therapies and stuff. And let's go on and talk about markets, baby.
Yeah, markets, they're in trouble. They're struggling right now.
It's a stagflation. It's got stagflation all over it, doesn't it?
I mean, again, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. This is stagflation 100%. And of course, you look at the dollar. The dollar is a listen, they're all garbage. Okay. We've made that point clear. Okay. That the currencies are all garbage, and all of the central banks around the world are stealing the money. Okay. What's up, Andre? Stealing the old man's bundle, as they say. And making your dollar worth less. Again, you can look at
what's the strongest currency these days? You know what it is?
What?
The ruble.
Sorry?
The ruble.
Yeah. Well, the ruble, because of course, why not?
And it went up. I looked at it this morning. I said, "Oh, I wonder if the ruble came down because they supposedly defaulted on $100 million coupon or something."
Bullshit.
It didn't go down at all. It's like, well, it's 17. It's the highest in years. It's amazing to me.
They defaulted on nothing.
Hey, and by the way, the G7 got together over the weekend.
Wait, hold on. Leave my headline alone.
Oh, I listen. Everyone,
leave my shit alone.
Everyone, let me make a statement. This is another week where we prove that we do not collude.
Yeah. Anyways. We're still long the dollar. Look, it's 103 to 105, again, but it doesn't really matter what this number says. It really matters what buying power you have, and you have none. And getting worse every day. Okay. If you can find goods, you can't afford them anyways. All right. 103 to 105 in the dollar. And of course, the euro currency, which rallied a little bit, but again, we're short euro currency. Look, it's going to par. It's going to 88 cents. I'll be on my soapbox until it gets there. It's getting there. Now, there may be some rallies in between. I told you a couple of weeks ago, be wary of the 2 or 3 cent move because they're big and they're fast. And of course, we got that. Now we're just kind of churning around. But again, like the grain markets, they are going much higher. The currencies are going much lower. And it's only part of the bigger game that's being played. But the euro currency, I would go right now, Connie, 106 to 107. Okay. But I'm only a seller. I'm not a buyer. I did not give oil levels. No, I'm not. I'm on product number 2, the euro currency. I go right down this row here. Okay. That's my order. Okay. As we talk about things. Okay. And of course, Bitcoin, look, look at how, remember I drew that in last week. Okay. I said it may be making a rounding bottom. Look what's going on here. It is actually, it's following my dotted lines like a bouncing ball. Okay. Again, is it the bottom? I don't know. I mean, Bitcoin, you go to zero. I've always said this one thing. I said it on Liz Klayman today. I'm a believer. I think they're real. But if they go to zero, they go to zero. But I gave out coin, even though we're short coin. I mean, I'm long coin on my hedging account. Okay. And we're short coin in our portfolios. And I said, look, to me, if you're fishing for a bottom, this is a spot. And I think Bitcoin, look, if you don't want to get involved in the Bitcoin itself, there's ways to play this, but it does look like it's kind of making a rounding bottom. Now, again, we're still shorted overall. And I would say for my money right now, 22,000 is the next key resistance and 20,000 is pretty much support. So 20 to 22,000. Okay. What do you think, big boy?
Well, Bitcoin, man, 20,000, 2017 high, it's stopping at the right place. You know, I mean, if it's just a total deflationary situation, you know, the bottom line is we follow trends. You know, we both
right. But I mean, when you look at this, I go, this could be making a bottom. Again, I'm not predicting, nor am I reversing.
Feels like it, and this should be a support level, but we're in crazy times here.
Right.
I think you just have to be very cautious. I love that we follow trends because look, we got short this thing when it broke through 60,000, I think. Yeah. And we've been short all the way down. It's a beautiful thing, right?
It is indeed. It is indeed. And so, you know, the bonds, look, they had a little bit of a pop, not a surprise. I said last week, 138 would be where I'd expect the top to be. Bang, we hit it. And now here we go down again. And I think we're going to take out the bottom end. Now for today, I mean, I've got to recognize, you know, 133 is some potential support, maybe even a little bit higher, maybe 134. But again, to me, they're going a lot lower. Interest rates are going higher. I don't care. You can stand on your head and tell me how they're not. But when your Fed chair tells you they're going higher, they're going higher. Okay.
You can't fight the Fed with this kind of stuff.
And he's an idiot to begin with, but they're going higher. And you can fight it all you want. Okay. But mortgage rates are now over 6%. Okay.
Right.
When you were here last week, they were just getting over 5%.
Right.
So they're exploding higher. And what does that mean overall? The housing market's going to melt down now. Look,
of course it does. I mean,
nothing looks good. In the meantime,
the new homes in our community in Las Vegas, you now have to qualify for a 7.5% mortgage because it takes, 6 months to a year to build one of these new houses.
Amazing. Yeah, you're right.
You're coming with cash. You ain't buying.
You're coming with cash, baby. That's it. So anyways, right now, bonds, 136 resistance, 134 support, 133 is the real level I'd be watching. Okay. And of course, we look in the metals, gold just can't seem to get off its ass. Okay. It's like stuck. If this was a heart patient, they would declare it dead. All right. It's dead sideways. I think we're probably going to test that 1800. Now we're long gold. Okay. So, but I think we're going to test that 1800 level. Okay. I think that's bad. I think we're back in the 1860 to 1800 level. What do you think?
Yeah, it feels that way. I mean, gold, I'm not going to blow your headline.
No, you can talk about gold all you want. I got that not by my headlines.
Yeah, well, I mean, the agreement to ban Russian gold.
Oh yeah, so what? Like that really matters.
Well, I was just gonna say, you can remelt it and recast it. You can't tell where that stuff comes from. I mean, it doesn't even matter. It's meaningless.
It's stupid. It's funny. Somebody emailed me yesterday and said, "Well, what do you think it's going to do to gold?" I said, "Nothing. What is it going to do? What do you think?" First of all, this whole sanction try to punish Russia doesn't mean shit anyways.
It's political fodder because most people don't know how the gold market operates. And they say, oh, the administration is sanctioning and banning Russian gold. Oh, that's a serious. It's bull. I could take any gold bar, take it to any refinery, turn it into liquid, put it in another bar. It'll look like it came from Switzerland.
Right. You stamp it whatever you want. Do you think the Fed will stop raising by the new year?
Oh, I think when things get really bad, the Fed is going to say, they're going to reverse. I do believe that.
Yeah, I think the Fed's out of control, and I don't think they're going to stop. Okay, I think we're going to see. I think a lot of people are going to look at CDs one of these days, not too far in the distant future.
What'd you say? They're going to be what?
Buying CDs again.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Anyways, 1800, 1860, Connie, and gold and silver. Look, silver looks like garbage too. And but the bottom line is neither is really moving. Okay. That's what you really have to understand is neither is really going anywhere.
Well, based on what copper did, I think that silver has a better chance of going at 15 than 25.
Somebody said to me the other day, that silver is going to the moon. I said, okay. I said, great. I said, but in the meantime, it's going to hell first.
Right. By the way, the moon for my whole career would be $15 because it traded at $4, between 4 and 6 for like 2 decades.
You know,
15
so
would be the moon. When I bought 250 million ounces of silver at below $5, 15 was the moon. So
right.
I think it's going to the moon. 15.
Thank you. I mean, Brad, I already answered that question, Brad. What you want me to answer it again? I answered it once. Do you want me to go through it again? When I get to the grains, I'll answer it again. How's that? I mean, in the meantime, again, at the end of the day, can it go higher? Of course it can. But right now, it looks like first of all, it looks like nothing. Okay. It would be nothing that I'd even want to trade if I could trade it actively. Okay.
The one thing I'll tell you, Bubba.
Yeah.
Silver, and I know you'll agree with this. Silver is the commodity. It moves when you least expect it. And it does stupid stuff.
Right.
You know, everything could be calm, and all of a sudden, silver could drop $6. Would you be surprised?
No. Look, again, the bottom line is in today's world, again, everything is there's no surprises that are coming out. Okay. So it's not like you're going to find some, how come it's not going higher because of the economic? Well, because nobody cares. Everybody knew about that already. It's not like we didn't know the economy was in trouble.
Could be because there's more sellers than buyers.
Yeah, right. The sellers are being more aggressive to be technical.
Exactly.
Anyways, silver, I mean, 21, but I would actually say 2050. To me, it's 2050 to $22. That's what I'd be looking. Okay. And platinum, this tries to go, it wasn't that, it was about 3 weeks ago. I said, man, maybe we're going to finally take off. Nope, right back down into crapper. And again, once again, we're holding around 900. Look,
disappointing metal, but
I'm a buyer of physical platinum. Okay. I have no problem with that. I am not a trader of it. It's not liquid enough for us to trade it. Certainly we would be shorted if we did trade it. Okay. But again, at 900, I'm willing to take a shot. Okay. That it can go to 400. Okay. But in the meantime, it seems to be that 900 has been holding, and it looks like we're just in a big old trading range, 900 to 1050. And for today, though, Connie, 900 to 980. Okay. You could even go 950, but I'm not, this is another product that I'm not in a hurry to short at these lower numbers. Okay. Now it's a $900 product, but again, I don't like products that can be $1,500 tomorrow or in a couple of days from now. Okay. To me, that's a lot more risk than I'm willing to take. Okay. But for today, 900 and 950. And of course, copper, look what happened here. Okay. Yeah. Now did this take out the low you were looking for, or is it a little more to go?
It absolutely did.
Okay.
Sign. It's a real sign of weakness. And I said copper tends to act technically really well. So when it broke through the 398 low from August 2021, forgive me if I get dates wrong, my head's foggy, but
no worries.
When it broke through there, it looks ugly. And, the rest of the base metals are going along for that ugly ride. And that's why silver looks so bad to me here.
Does it hold here, do you think?
I mean, the trend.
We're short, but again, this is just an opinion based on your long-term work.
It looks bad. I mean, could it test $3? Sure, it can. I mean, the economy stinks, right?
Without question.
Okay.
I would think that any rally, and in this case, first I'd be looking at about 393 was about that lower 398 on the upside. I'd be a seller there for now. And I mean, obviously I don't ever sell at the dead bottom here like this, right? I'm not going to voluntarily walk in here and sell it now. Okay. I might have done it when the trend first changed, but now I can see some holding. And look, the rally was the slight move up today was on zero volume. And Andy is correct. It's very technically based. It trades very technically. So more than likely, you might see some consolidation to relieve this oversold and then a continuation down.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be short here. And, you just have to keep your eye on it. And you have to expect big moves here, big swings, because this is unprecedented times.
Right. What is my outlook for 5 years ago? I'll give you my outlook for gold and silver for 5 years. I'll put it very simply. Okay. I keep buying it. Okay. I don't know if it's 5 years or 10 years. I don't know what the time frame is. I'm a buyer of physical metals. I would never buy paper, gold or silver or platinum for that matter, that I was planning on holding for any length of time. That's only those, to me, paper metals are only for trading. If I want to own metals, I'm willing to own them, and I'm willing to buy them with money that I can afford, that I'm not going to sell, because I will not, as I've said many times before, my gold, silver, and platinum that I own in physical versions, my kids will sell it the day I drop dead.
So let me say, when my grandmother passed away, we found in her safety deposit box like over $150,000 in $10 bills. Okay.
Right.
So this was in the 1980s, the early 1980s. So in my safety deposit box, I would never want to have any fiat currency. I would only want to have gold or silver. But, you know, my outlook, I buy them because I believe in them long term, because they've been around a lot longer than me, and they'll be around a lot longer than after I'm gone. However, as far as the next move, I only look day to day. I'm not looking 5 years down the road. I look at the trend. That's
right.
it.
So at the end of the day, again, you buy physical metals with money that you're not going to need. And in other words, you can't take your mortgage payment and buy physical metals. Okay. And, you know, paper gold, you trade either long or short. Okay.
Exactly.
Corn, well, again, we're short the grains across the board, and it looks ugly, but, you know, I don't know if you were here yet, but I think they're going a lot higher. In my opinion.
Is that July, Bubba?
This is July, yes.
Yeah, because I'm just kind of out of sync a little bit because
hold on, I'm gonna give you what you call.
I've been starting to look at the December.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that right now.
New crop, yeah.
If my stupid ass computer will work.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that you got to be long these things longer term. I mean, we're going to trade with the trend, but at the end of the day, you know.
And now here's the D's. Okay, and it's very oversold, but look, it doesn't mean it can't go lower. Look, we're short, so I'm saying to you that I believe they're going a lot higher, but right now I'm short, and there'll be plenty of time to get in when the time comes. Okay, and the spread is widening once again, but again, don't forget July, which I just showed you first, is going into delivery like tomorrow, or it is in delivery already. So, you know, again, that's not a true read of the market. And wheat, okay, actually soybeans we do next. Do I give you levels on those, Connie? I forget. Okay, I will if I do. I forget if I do or I don't. But soybeans under pressure as well. And if you look at Novi beans, which are a new crop as well, okay, X22, you're down in the 14s. Okay, so again, I'd love to be, if I was not using a trend tracking system, I would be a buyer at some point here to hold. I'd buy low and hold on to. But again, I have plenty of time to be able to get back in. I would not be surprised to see some little bit of a rally. Anyways, we're pretty oversold. When you go straight down from $15.60 to $14, you can bet there's going to be some sort of a rally that's going to show up. Okay, the question is how high will they go? Right now, I would expect $14.60 to be the top of this move. But overall, I think we're going to see $20 beans. I think we're going to see $15 wheat and $10 corn, if not higher. What's that?
I have nothing to add other than, you know, Europe's breadbasket is a nightmare, and that tells you all you need to know. But it doesn't mean that we can't, you know, go down and test lower levels. I mean, picking bottoms is for as one of my first bosses in England told me. He was the head of the precious metals department of Philip Brothers in England. He said, Andy, when you try to pick a bottom, all you get is a dirty finger.
Right. Exactly. He's right. So again, wheat, look, it's getting cracked. It's down hard. And we've seen some wild action here, but one of the things you have is a lack of action. Number two, you have a lot of margin selling, and people are selling away from their winners. I said this an hour ago, that they're selling away from their winners to cover margin calls on losers. Okay. And that, you know, when you have a market that's thin to begin with, that creates a more accelerated move that you wouldn't expect. Okay. But I do believe that they're going much higher. Okay. But again, right now I'm short. So just take that for what it's worth. My opinion is one, my position is another. Feeder cattle, again, I said this today on RFD. I think feeder cattle is fairly priced. Okay. We're long it, and I don't think we're going. too far one way or the other. Okay. I think that there's a greater likelihood of a meltdown from here than a melt up. Okay. I don't think we're going to get, but I think based on everything that I can see, we're kind of in a fairly priced kind of market right now.
You know, I kind of liked them down when they were below 160 because of seasonality and all that.
Yeah.
But I agree 100%. I mean, I don't see this going to 190 at all. I see it's trading around this level, and I'd say now after the rally, the odds probably favor a little bit of a correction.
I mean, we're long, but if I said 170, 180, would you disagree?
No,
I mean, that would be.
I think it could sit there through September.
Right. I mean, I think we're going to just churn unless they break hard. Okay. Now, again, there's a lot of reasons to believe they could break hard versus rally. Okay. But again, I think they're in a fairly priced atmosphere. We are long. And the same thing goes for live cattle or fat cattle, which it's called. Okay. Because again, it's in that 130 to 138 level range. And, we don't get too much higher. I think the all-time high of live cattle was 170 something. Okay. And the all-time high of feeders was in the 240s. Okay. And I don't think that I think we're in an area in all of the meats or the protein complex, as they call it, of fair pricing right now. Okay. I don't think that there is any reason to believe, hogs are dead set. And I think hogs are 105 to 115. We commented on this back in December when December was like normally December's like in the 40-cent level. Okay. And it was like 75. We go, these are awfully expensive here. Right. And they got more expensive. And I think now they've kind of found a range and a level. Okay. Now, can it change? Of course it can. We could be wrong. But overall, to me, I think these are at what I'd call a fairly priced market. Okay. That probably has a greater probability of failing from here if there's going to be a problem than going much higher. But I don't see that side either. What I see is a range bound 130 to 138 in live cattle, 170 to 180 in feeder cattle, and 105 to 115 in hogs. And I don't know that I'd want to be actively trading any one of those right now because I don't see much movement going on there. Okay. So that would be my views of the meats in general. Okay.
Well, my view is pork chops are cheaper than steak, and everyone is.
That's always the case, right? How
much everything costs, and there'll be a lot more pork chops on the grills this July 4th.
Oh yeah, and Labor Day. Anyways, natural gas, we're short, and it had a big move up, got well over 9. Now it's headed south. And what does it mean? Well, I mean, you're finding. You had a pretty key decision point coming in here, probably. And, look, we still have a crappy energy policy. That has not changed.
What's today's date? Today's June 27th, right?
Yes, sir.
On June 24th or 28th, I'm not sure, one of the two, right around here, 2020, this thing traded at $1.44.
Right.
So, okay, we came down from $9 to $6.50. Excuse me, at $6.50, we're still 4 times higher than we were, more than 4 times higher than we were 2 years ago at this time.
June 25th.
June, right? Okay, see,
you're right there, 24th to 28th. You're right in the middle. There you go.
So it's incredible. I mean, okay, it came down. This is a wild ride. We've said this all along too. You got to be really careful in this market, because it could go to $4 and it could go to $10 in a blink of an eye. Just be careful.
It's a wild market, and you're seeing some pressure. We're short, so that's good for us at the moment. But again, you got a very bad energy policy, and it could get worse. And that ties us to, in the meantime, $6 to $6 to $6.50 would be what I'd be watching, and possibly $7.
I think the really interesting season is going to be like October, November.
Oh, 100%. That's where what's his name busted out. Yeah, 100%. Crude oil. Now, crude oil is another story, but again, really, we're now short crude. Okay, and at the end of the day, okay, we have a little bit of a rally, and I would suggest that this might be some resistance. We're right here now. Again, I won't be surprised if it goes much higher from here, and we're wrong. Okay, again, you're in a wild market that I don't know what's going to reverse the trend back to the upside, but certainly it could happen. I think there's a lot of things in this again, going back to the energy policy, the unwillingness to do things, and of course we're getting the excuse now that Well, people are driving less. You know, we're still burning a lot of fuel, and it still takes fuel. It still takes fossil fuels to do just about everything that we do, we produce, or that is produced. And I think this rally is on light volume. And again, we're short it. I mean, you know, I think we have room to go a lot higher, and I still believe that this will make all-time new highs before it's all said and done. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, where does it's hot outside, right? It's in a heat wave. Where does the electricity to power the air conditioners come from? Well, it comes from either coal, natural gas, or oil. It doesn't come from anywhere else, right?
Right.
Unless you have solar. Okay, there's some people with solar, but it's still the majority of it comes from fossil fuels. The bottom line is crude oil is $30 off the highs, and it's over the last 2 years, it's $150 off the low, that spike low. You know, the trend is still, the long-term trend is still very positive. Oil's above $100.
Right.
And you know, hey, can we go down to 90? Absolutely. Absolutely, we could go down to 90. And the short-term trend is turned negative. But you know, there's too many fundamental reasons supporting crude oil. And you know, that I would say that the next $10 could be down, but the next $50 is higher.
I agree. I would say, you know, 111 to 104, 102. Okay. And again, right now I'm a seller. Okay.
I will
And again,
multiply that by saying, if by some miracle we changed our oil policy, you know,
they'll
then
give you back at 35.
$50. We go to $50 real quick.
100%. Okay. And cocoa, look, it had a little bit of a bounce. Now it's just working its way down. The trend remains lower. We remain short. You know, if you trade this 2480s resistance, I wouldn't be a buyer at any price right now. Cotton is suddenly in trouble. Okay, look at this. My goodness gracious.
Cotton's acted pretty seasonal because it tends to go to highs in May, and
Right.
that could be it. And it's done that. And look, we dropped below $1. I mean, and
Right.
we also roll to the December contract, so
Right.
that's important too.
Right. Is that buzz coming from your side? Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to answer this. It's my mother.
No, go ahead. Answer it. It's more important.
That's what I gotta answer.
No worries. Goodbye. I'll be here if you come back. All right. Anyways, you know, cotton is in trouble. Now, again, there'll be a bouncer at some point. Okay. Again, if I were looking to play, just make a trade, I'd look for a spot that maybe would turn just for a quick bounce. But we've got a lot more room to go on the downside. Okay. And certainly, you know, again, you've had a massive down from 120 to 94. And certainly it could go significantly lower. I mean, remember, it came from 49 cents. I mean, I don't think it's going there. Again, cotton will fit into the grain markets and other things as we get back into worried about the inflationary times, whatever. But right now you're seeing a lot of pressure put on these saw commodities as well, including sugar, which we're also short. I mean, we're short cotton, we're short sugar, we're short cocoa. Okay. And you're seeing that there's pressure on these markets. Okay. OJ had a little bit of a bounce today, but we are short OJ as well. And again, you assume, you know, you always assume that a market that moves too far in one direction or the other is going to get, we're short sugar. What did you want me to do with sugar? Okay, we're short it. You want me to give you a level? Is that what you're looking for? You got to be more specific. You know, I went through it. We're short. It's going lower. Okay. But, you know, the OJ market, you know, you anytime you have 10 or 11 days in a row down, you can assume there's going to be a bounce at some point. Okay. You know, these markets don't go in one direction, no matter what market it is. We just saw it in the equity markets. After down, you had a bear market rally. Okay. And of course, coffee, we're still long, and coffee is right on support. Okay. Now, is it going to change? I don't know. We'll see tomorrow. All right. You know, but in the meantime, it still looks okay. And it fought up against. Now, again, I could make either case here. All right. But I'll make the case that, you know, I still think commodities are going to be the place to be. You know, and I think as you see, if the equities start to break even further, I think that will bring more money back into the commodities. Again, remember, you have monies that are trading different things. Okay. And I think what's that?
I said, sorry about that.
That's all right. Are you okay?
My father is 92 and he's as tough as nails. He's okay. I mean, his chest X-ray is clear, and they're going to bring him back to where they live and put him in an isolation place. And
Good.
the problem is that the doctors are just impossible to deal with.
Well, naturally. Well, that's part of the insurance problems, right? I mean,
he's a tough old bird, I'll tell you.
Good. Good. That's good news. So that's good news.
Don't interfere.
So we've got, again, we've got issues, and, we'll see what happens here in coffee, but it still looks pretty good. And, again, you could make either case from here. Right now we're still long, and that's the case I'll make. And lumber, hey, first of all, we don't trade this, right? But it is a kind of a bellwether. I'm actually surprised that with copper getting drilled farther and with the housing market, that this didn't go down a little bit further, but.
Well, I think it led the way, huh? It did drop from 1,500 to under 600.
Right.
And so it died. Now it's died at death.
So again, remember, you can't guess what's going to happen. You can only trade what the prices are showing you. And of course, we saw this happening as it happened, just like we saw it when it went down just under 500 the first time. We thought that was probably a bottom. Okay. And again, is it bottoming? Well, we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to believe, but reasons to believe have nothing to do with the price action of the market. And I think the sooner that you recognize that, the better off you're going to be as a trader, as an investor, is to understand what you're trying to accomplish and the money that you're going to invest into it. Okay. And I think that's the important part that you have to look at. Any last minute thoughts before we switch over?
Just be really careful in markets. It's a crazy time. It's also a very illiquid time. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. We're going to come into the July 4th holiday, and then things are going to really dry up. The quarter end, maybe you see a little window dressing, at the end of this week. But at the end of the day, this is a tough time in markets, and the illiquidity will make it worse.
Yep. And I said earlier, if you weren't here, that I'd expect that since there's no jobs on Friday this time, that'll be a week from Friday. I would suspect by Thursday afternoon, there'll be nothing.
Yep.
Okay. We're already quiet. I suspect that by Thursday afternoon, it'll be all dried up.
Hey, by the way, before we switch over, are we doing a July 4th call?
No.
Okay.
No. We're taking off for the holiday. We're getting that free money from our government, so we're taking off. All right, let me stop this recording. Hold on. All right. Yes, stop. Let's get started, and let's rock and roll. And what's up? All right. Well, we get longer and longer and earlier for this start of this part of the call, but in the meantime, I'm the government. I'm here to protect you, but you can't swim. I love that. Okay. And of course, there's many issues which we continue to talk about. And again, however you wanted to look at them, you can choose your own fate and how you want to look at things. But certainly, there are so many issues out there that are just not healthy and not good, that it could be really problematic. And we have to just be aware of what is around us. And of course, that's why we focus on facts, not fears. Okay, the facts are always dictated in the price action of the market, and when the markets get sideways, they are very tough. That's the only I can tell you. Okay, they're very tough when they're sideways, because again, they're running to a certain point, they're running back to a certain point, and they can't seem to break out. And they will eventually break out to a direction, but they're always, when they're stuck in those ranges, those are always problematic.
You know what, Baba?
Go ahead.
Fear is such a wasted emotion. When you follow the rules, when you follow a plan, it eliminates the fear. It puts the fear, it mitigates the fear.
Right. I mean, again, you shouldn't.
Wasted emotion, and it makes you like a deer in the headlights.
You gotta listen to Gordon Gekko. Don't get emotional about stocks. Anyways, and of course, there is no call next Monday, July 4th. We are taking it off. We're getting a stimulus check so we can stay home. So no call on July 4th. And as always, speaking of July 4th, but we don't say thank you enough to our service people. Okay, especially police, fire, army, military, not just army, all military. again, you think this is easy for all these guys to handle right now, what's going on in this country? Okay. So you think we're in easy times when there's shootings everywhere? Okay. So, again, you got to remember who takes care of you and what they do it for, which is virtually nothing. Okay. When you look at the bigger picture, I mean, you got to love your service people that take care of you. And thank you, as we always do, because it's very important to us. And of course, I always give my thoughts, and G7 set to impose price caps on Russian oil. Now who gives a rat's ass? This is like this is another one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. Okay. Is that they really think they're going to put a cap on Russian oil? Okay. Does that mean that people aren't going to buy Russian oil, Andy?
I mean, it's ridiculous. It's just, you know what? It's exactly the same issue, what we said in the pregame about banning Russian gold. It's political fodder. So people, they're doing something. It's bull. It's all bull.
I mean, can you imagine?
Smoke and mirrors.
There's nothing that they're doing. It is all bullshit. Okay. It has nothing. It means nothing. And trust me, if we needed their oil, there would be no cap. We'd buy their oil. Okay. I mean,
when you put oil on a tanker, it's the flag on the ship that tells you where it's from. I mean, if you're an expert and you could go into a lab, you could probably figure out which geology it came from. But oil is oil,
Right.
It's, there's different gravities and different, sulfur contents. But you know what? The Russian crude, you can't really tell the difference, very, very easily between Russian crude and a crude that comes from a more friendly country. So it's all bull.
India, China buying it cheap, refining it inside the EU, it's possible.
Of course.
Biden skips meeting with oil executives to meet with wind energy executives.
Would you expect anything else?
Can you, I mean, please give me a hit in the head. Will you crack me? Let me think like he does.
Now I think the administration is yelling at the refiners.
Give me, they said the oil companies are gouging. Everything is everybody's fault but theirs. Okay. I mean, again, it's such a joke what's going on here. Really, we're meeting with the wind.
How upset do you think the oil executives are that they canceled their meeting?
Maybe if they could get the cow farts and put those into wind energy, they wouldn't be polluting. Okay.
Maybe I got an idea. Maybe all the hot air that comes out of Washington can be transferred into wet.
Oh, God. And Biden signs gun control bill into law. I'm so sick of this gun crap. Okay. I think everybody seems to forget one very important thing. Okay. The criminals will get the guns no matter what the laws are. Okay. Do we not comprehend that criminals will get guns no matter what? Okay.
That's absolutely right. Listen, look at Chicago. Perfect example. It's got very strict gun laws. Now, you could cross the border into Indiana where it's a little looser, but even if they crack down in Indiana, the criminals will still get guns.
Right. Okay. That's the point. I mean, hold on one second. You have to understand that the criminals always have the edge. Okay. And that goes back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier. Okay. That, the governments, and that doesn't mean just Biden's administration. I mean, all of them, nobody wants to get involved until it's too late. Okay. This has always been the case. But the criminals will get what they need no matter what. They've always done so, and they will continue to do so. And I think this is the problem. Again, you can cry and try to take away the Second Amendment all you want, but at the end of the day, criminals get guns. They will be able to, and the only ones who won't have guns are those who have them legally. Okay.
What about, I heard someone recommend, listen, these school shootings and stuff, they break my heart. I mean, this is a horrible situation. What about putting retired military, off-duty police, armed in front of schools? I mean, why not do that? Isn't that a better way to save these poor children's lives?
Well, if you thought about that, but they don't want to spend the money. I mean, let's face one fact. It always comes back down to money. Okay. I mean, I'm all for it, but Look, it's a sad state of affairs that we're fighting over the Second Amendment when the people that you're trying to stop from getting guns are going to always get them.
Right.
Okay, Chicago, 5 shooting, and what a sad story it is. What's his name? Giano, what is it, from Fox?
Yeah.
His brother got killed this weekend.
Yeah.
In Chicago, 5 deaths and 19 injured this weekend. I mean, come on, Chicago's got the strictest gun laws in the country, and it's the murder capital of the world. And Powell pledges to beat inflation, even if it causes a recession and job losses. Now, where are these assholes? Okay, when they could have been raising rates all along, when the stock market was rolling along and the economy was humming along, where were these guys? Okay, now
they were in transitory trances.
But I'm going back all the way to 2013, Andy.
Yeah.
I mean, where were these guys when they should have been doing their job, which they weren't? Okay, so
they're political puppets.
I got to check my blood pressure. Words of wisdom: take a breath, think, and proceed. Look, I warn you about this all the time. Never panic in a market ever. Okay, worst case scenario: sit back, take a deep breath, relax, and then make a decision. Okay? Decisions made out of fear or emotion are 99% wrong.
Right. Impulsive behavior leads to mistakes.
Correct. Okay. And look, I'm telling you, I've said this forever. And of course, Connie always comes up with the best words of wisdom. And this is one of them. I mean, again, even if you want to get out, take a deep breath first. Why do you think they put circuit breakers in? Okay, they put circuit breakers in so that people could catch their breath, so they wouldn't panic and puke out.
Right.
Okay. And of course, her State of the Union, which she had many, but Dems are requesting $50 million for convention security. I suggest we send them a couple of gun-free zone signs and call it good. Now, again, they want more security, but they don't want no guns. Okay, maybe they'll bring the English police or the bobbies. Okay, with nightsticks. Okay, very good, Connie. The other ones are good too, but a little too controversial for me. Anyways, and of course, I've been bitching for an hour, but my final bitch, I call bullshit on the Fed telling us all banks passed the stress test. Okay, in my opinion, there's no friggin' way that these banks all passed the stress test. Okay, and it's a gimmick, and it means nothing because guess what? When they become busted again and we go into another major meltdown, okay, you'll be bailing them out again, okay, because they will not have really passed the stress test. That is my opinion. That is not fact yet, but I believe it to be fact. Okay, I don't know. I'd like to see it in Texas. Okay. Anyways, as we go back to markets now, and we look at the Dow YM Yankee Michael, the Dow future for today, and of course, we were up much higher early this morning. We ended up closing slightly lower in the day, but again, I think that there was a natural bounce. Again, you go straight down. I said last week there's going to be some sort of a bounce. It's not a shock. And look at the rallies. Look at the volume on the rallies. They're pathetic. The volume was pathetic in the first place. All right. And again, we're still short. And I would say, 32,000 would be the resistance level, which is what I was looking at before anyways. And I think we're taking out the lows. Okay. Now we may not do it this week. I mean, it's going to be a challenging week. It's going to be very quiet with the holiday and the end of the quarter. Now, again, every quarter doesn't rally. Some quarters, they just decide to take their medicine, but we'll figure the odds are towards the end of the week, there might be a little bit of a rally.
But don't you think that a lot of hedge funds, they might want to push it down at the end of the quarter?
They might. Well, that's what I mean. They might want to take their write downs and just get it over with.
Oh yeah.
I mean, again, I listen. I don't try to predict that stuff, because it's
the big flush.
I'm not going to be able to do anything about it anyways. So why should I work myself up? To me, 32,000 resistance. The first support's going to be like 30,700, but I think we're going below. I think we're going back underneath 29, underneath 28. Okay. And before this moves all over, I think it'll be in the teens again, but we'll see. Okay. Again, whatever I'm supposed to be doing, I'm doing, but for today, 30,800 to 32,000. The S&P Echo Sierra, same chart, same pattern, same opinion. Okay, we're going a lot lower. This is in a major downtrend. You could actually still go higher before the trend changes. Okay. And I know many of you thought after Friday's rally, we'd be changing, but again, we're not anywhere near changing yet because the overall downslide is still, okay, going lower. We're still well below any real potential change in this market. And I would suspect that, right now we're at 39,000 or 3,900. I mean, it might get back to 44,000, but I think you're looking at more likely 38 than 37. And for today, we'll look at 3,800 to 4,000. Okay. And again, it sounds like a lot, but when you look at it percentage wise, it's really not. Okay. And the NASDAQ, November, Quebec, the same pattern. Looks ugly. It was ugly today. Okay. And it was higher and it never made it. And it was the weakest again today. And I think that you're going to see, again, to me, this reminds me of, the late 90s, early 2000s before the NASDAQ collapsed. Okay. Now, if you don't remember, the collapse in March of 2001, but it was actually collapsing well before that. We tend to pin everything to a date when it's been happening long before. I mean, we've been in a downtrend. Look at some of the NASDAQ stocks, the crippling damage that's been done to them.
They're down on a percentage basis, so much more than the index.
Yeah. So here, I mean, could we get back to 12.4? It could be, but I'd be a seller at 12.2. Okay. And I think you're going to probably see support at, 11.6 and maybe 11.2. And I think we're going below that too. But again, it may not happen this week. Remember, I can't give you when this is going to happen. I can only tell you that I think it's going to happen. Okay. And as long as the trend remains lower, because I promise you this, the lower trend will help selling accelerate when the sellers show up. Okay. And the Russell, which was higher today, look, I think, 1,800 is great resistance. Okay. It's a nice little bounce off the bottom. It has been a little bit stronger than the rest recently. Not surprising after getting hammered, right? The small caps, the small businesses have been destructed. You're going to get a little natural bounce. You got some fishing in there and some people looking. In the meantime, 1,800 would be a spot to sell it in my eyes. I think you're looking at 1,700, 1,800, and I think we go through the 1,600 on the bottom side too before it's all said and done. And the VIX, okay, so the VIX has come down. Not a surprise. We said after this big spike up that more than likely you would see some pullback, but yet we remain well over that 24, 25 level. Okay, and we're seeing higher volatility. We're seeing higher option pricing, and that is option buying versus option selling. And, look, at the end of the day, this is just telling you that there's a lot of uncertainty out there right now. And a lot of the ways that uncertainty is played is by buying options, whether they be puts or calls. Okay. So just keep that in mind. And of course, as we move on to Apple, Alpha, Papa Lima. Okay. And of course, Apple's had a little bit of a nice little bounce, not shocking. I mean, we said last week, even though we're short, I said, don't be surprised if you get a little bit of a bounce off of this level here. I mean, it's now reached what I would consider the pinnacle or the peak. Let's say 145. Right now I'd be looking at this at 140, 145, 136 to 145 with a little bit of a support around 140-ish. Okay, but I would expect this to start going lower once again. Tried to rally today, and again, but very light volume, so it's always very frustrating in markets. Now, again, if you're buying it for long term and you're going to hedge it, hey, buy away. I mean, I bought some, okay, for my hedging account, but for trading, I'm a short, and I have no problem being short. And I think it's got a chance to go much lower. I mean, the trend here has not really changed. I mean, look at where it came from, 176 down to 132. You're going to see some kind of a bounce. Okay.
Wonderful company, but you know what? The trend is ugly.
Yeah, right. Okay. AG Alpha Golf, which again, I always make this full disclosure. We really have this in the portfolio for one reason, for when it goes up. We are short it now. Okay, I don't, again, we use options, so it's not crippling. I would never, and I say never, naked sell an $8 stock. Okay. I would never sell an $8 stock without some sort of protection. What's that?
If I had the impulse to short First Majestic, I'd turn around and sell silver futures.
Right. And I would never, but again, I don't, yeah, a lot of the big guys, they sell them like crazy. Look, I'm not taking the exposure. I don't need it. I can create a position.
You can't make any money doing that at $8 stock.
I can create a position that allows me to benefit if I want, which is exactly what we do. But I'd never naked short this. I mean, then we are short. But I think, again, 750, it looks like 750 to 850. Okay. Again, it's kind of sideways. It's a little bit, it actually looks a little bit better than silver itself, but it doesn't look very good in general. Okay. And again, would I be surprised when it pops back to $15? No. But right now, it looks like it's headed south. AMD, Alpha Michael Delta, we remain short here as well. And yeah, you got a little bounce off of 80. Not a surprise. That's what we said. Okay. Look for a little bit of bounce at 80. I think you're probably looking at 90 if we can get that far. And I don't know if it'll get that far or not, but I think it's 80 to 90. But certainly, it is certainly broken down. Okay. And this bounce here is just nothing more than a dead cat bounce. Okay. I think the whole market in general was nothing more than the dead cat bounce. It's painful when you're short, but remember that bear market rallies look the best. They make you nervous, which is exactly what they are. Okay. But in the meantime, 90, I'd be a seller for sure. You could look, a little tighter. But again, remember that when I give you levels here, it also depends on how it gets there and what the reaction is when it reaches either a support or a rejection level. Okay, you got to understand that market action at the time, because they're not just automatic, set those orders in and let them work. They are areas to watch. Okay. Amazon, Alpha Michael Zulu November, which we carry no position in at the moment anywhere, but we did start covering here with the split. Okay. Now, Amazon's been under a little bit of pressure, right? And again, I bought some the day it split and I put it in my hedging account. But I do think that it's got a fair area to try to buy it. Okay. Again, we would probably be long it anyways if we were trading it because it has rallied, from 100 basically. But I think that, if you look at it from other standpoint, if gas prices continue to rise, it's going to mean more business for Amazon because they're going to be doing less driving from store to store. Okay. Now you couldn't prove that by yesterday because yesterday I had to go to Kohl's and Dick's and both places were packed. Okay. But I think again, from just a fundamental reason, but I would look at this from 110 as support, and I think you're looking at 120 as the next big resistance. But again, I don't really I have a position because I'm long it, but I'm hedged, so I'm really pretty much net neutral the market right now, and will benefit on either side wherever it goes from here. Bravo Alpha, which we're still long, and again, it's trying to bust up again. Now it came all the way down into the 70s, and here it is now back up at pretty key resistance around 120. Now we're long. Now I would suspect, just looking at this action and how fast it went from 100 to 120, that you're probably going to see a pullback. Whether it's bullish or bearish longer term, it doesn't really matter. Okay, a 20% move is pretty steep, and usually will result in some reverse action and maybe some mean reversion. What do you think there, Chief?
To me, the move up in Alibaba really has corresponded with the U.S. government's kind of a lot of talk about easing some of the trade restrictions and all with China. So I think that's moving with policy more than the kind of market and other underlying fundamentals. So I think you follow the trend here because, the trend is telling you that this stock is getting very sensitive to that.
I will look at that later, Gerald. You got to, Gerard, after I'm done with what I'm looking at, you can ask me any stocks you want, but right now I'm not stopping to look at something that is not in order, especially, I got to give Connie levels. I'm sorry, Connie. I forgot. I'm correcting myself at that time. 115 to 120.
We have to go in order because you know what? Those are the rules, and we follow.
That's right. That's the rules I got. Fido, this is like Fido, a dog. Now this is the Bitcoin ETF that is based strictly on the future, and of course, it looks pretty similar to the future. I bought some higher, I don't know, $13 or $14, somewhere up there.
Right.
And again, I don't care I mean, I always care, but I'm not worried, and I didn't buy enough that it's going to make a difference, and I'm not selling it, right? I have no exit plan here. I'm willing to take it to zero if that's where it's going to go, but I do believe that the cryptos are going to be real and they're going to act. We have not made an official trade yet, nor do we carry it in any one of our portfolios, but I would look at it today and I'd say 12 to 14. And I would be looking, I'm not looking to be a seller, really. I'm really, in this kind of product, I'm really looking to be a buyer only. If I'm wrong and it goes bust, okay, I was wrong. But I don't see the big percentage gain to the downside is what I can see to the potential upside.
I got this too, and you know what? I mean, I have other dust collectors in my portfolio that have NAs in front of them. I'm willing to take that risk on.
I got like 20 pages of it. But I mean, again, I'm willing to. Again, there's times I'm willing to gamble, which I'm willing to gamble here. And there's times I'm going to play it right by the book. But since we don't carry this,
you're gambling. You know you're gambling.
Right. And I know what my risk is, and I'm willing to risk the investment that I made if it goes to zero. Meantime, 12 to 14, and certainly I'm not really a seller at 14. I'm more of a buyer at 12. Okay. And BitQ, the other side of this, which is a minor, an ETF on the minors, again, it's kind of looking like it's bottoming a little bit, but it's still at $6.50. Okay. Well down from the $33 or $36 it was at, or 40, wherever the hell it was at.
Hey, full disclosure, I bought this thing at 8 and I bought it at 6.
Right. And again, I don't have a problem. I buy it too.
And I'm happy to sit on it. I mean, that's it.
Now, we don't carry this anywhere either, but it's $6 to $8. Okay. Again, I'm not a seller. As I've already made fully clear, I will not sell it at $8. Okay. But I would buy it at 6. Okay. Back to what we actually do trade. Chewy, Charlie Hotel Whiskey Yankee, which we are long. And I said last week, right? It looked like it had a chance to turn. It did. And it's now breaking out again. Now, where's it going to go? We're in a very tough area, but what you will find out that even if this market is going lower where I think it's going, there are going to be stocks at bottom long before the rest of the market's bottom. Okay. And is Chewy one of them? I don't know. But right now we are long, and I would say, 35 would be the support level. I'd be looking at maybe even 37.50. And I think that you're going to see the first real resistance up around 42. Okay. And that's what I would look at. And again, it's a great company, but that doesn't mean it has to go higher. But it has put in some nice work. And based on the speed in which we went up here, it would be no surprise for me if next week we come back and we're still between 37 and 42 and haven't moved off of it. It would be no surprise to me that we went straight into consolidation. Okay. So, but right now, again, we're long it. And I would say, 37.50 to 42.50. Coin. Charlie Oscar India November, which I recommended on Liz Clayman today. Okay. I was filling my Stanley Cup full of goodies. And I said, look, Liz, I'm going to gamble. I'm trying to bottom fish a couple of things. I'm a believer in Bitcoin. Okay. And I never get a chance to debate that jackass Charlie Gasparino, who was mouthing off about, the Coinbase, that they may be in trouble, but that's possible. I mean, they could be in for Chapter 11. But if you have cash in Coinbase in your bank account there, then that is guaranteed by the FDIC. And if you have crypto in there, if you haven't put it into a cold wallet outside of there, then shame on you. Okay. Because you can take it away from them where they don't have control if they do go bankrupt. Okay. But they don't ever talk about that stuff. They only give you the fear side of the angle. In the meantime, we are short this. Okay. And again, look, I would say, 60 might be a spot to sell it again. I own this. I full disclosure, I bought it a couple of weeks ago at 50 something. Okay. And again, I'm just hedging it. So I'm not really worried about it. In fact, I've already bought, I don't know, in my one business, I bought like 2,000 shares more already. But in the one I just hedged out, hold on, I got to see how many I bought so far. And this was based on the original 100 shares, okay, of coin. I now have 200 shares. Okay. All right. So again, it was based originally on 100 shares. I now have 300 shares. My bad. I have 300 shares.
Hats off to Jim Chanos.
Yeah.
Right.
He called it. Look, I don't begrudge him. In the meantime, we're still short. So I would say, 60, and it's probably, you're probably 50 to 60. Okay. And DraftKings, which we got long today, I don't know. I'm thinking I got to get rid of this. I say it every week, but I'm about ready to dump it. I mean, I own it. Again, full disclosure, I own it in my retirement account, and obviously I'm not thrilled. But I mean, I'm not buying anymore, is what I've said all along. But I may have to take it out of the portfolios altogether. I just don't like the way it trades anymore, and to me, it's kind of like a worthless piece of crap. Okay, now maybe they'll get bought out. I don't know, but it certainly isn't indicating much of anything. Okay, and it seems to be stuck between 10 and 14 right now. But for today, I would say 13 to 15 would be what I'd be watching. Okay, and we are long again. Not that I'm thrilled about that, but I mean I'm thrilled because I'm long, but I'm not necessarily thrilled. But I'd say 13 to 15 in DraftKings. Again, I think we're only waiting for a potential takeover. I think that's really what it comes down to, because they're never, and they're still giving money away, which really is out of whack. Okay, you can still open an account. In fact, I'm going to Denver in a couple of weeks. I'm going to open a DraftKings account there. Okay, when I get there, you got to be one of the first things I do when I get off the plane. I can take that free $1,000 bet, whatever it is. Okay. In the meantime, Meta, Michael Echo Tango Alpha. Facebook, I mean, it looks brutal. Okay. It looks like it wants to go significantly lower. All right. Now, again, at some point, these may find a bottom at some point, but remember, the overall NASDAQ itself, Facebook itself, or Meta, whatever you want to call it, looks pretty brutal. Okay. And it looks like there's a lot more room to go on the downside. Okay. And certainly, 180, I'd be a seller with my eyes closed. I think 160 is probably some support, but certainly I think we could take out the lows at 155 as well. Okay. First Solar, Foxtrot, Sierra, Lima, Romeo, which we're short, has had a little bit of a bounce. But again, if you just look at the overall trend, it actually could go a little bit higher before actually turning over. Right. And, certainly it's a volatile enough stock, but look at what's happened to the volume. Okay. I mean, it's already had light volume. Now it's really impossibly light. Maybe Biden will meet with the solar executives next week too. So in the meantime, I'd say 72 would be resistance, which would be the key spot. And I think you're probably looking at 68 to 72 for now. GDX, whew, look at this. Wasn't it just $41 we were talking about?
Toilet.
I mean, again, it's trending lower. Okay. And, Andy has said many times, the miners will get crushed faster, but they'll also recover faster. But right now we're just going lower. And, where is the support? Okay. Now we're still short. And it's interesting. We did reverse gold, but we never reversed GDX, which tells you the trend here is lower. And this is a pretty steady trend too. This is not overly done to the downside. In fact, I could make a case that I want to be a seller at 30 on a rally there, because again, it's a very sorry.
The action in this is pointing to gold probing below 1800.
Yes, which is what we think could happen anyways, even though we're long gold. So, but this doesn't look very good. Now, again, full disclosure, I don't trade this very often, except in the portfolios, because to me, it don't move enough. I'd rather, if I'm going to play, I want to play something that's going to move more than this. But this is certainly in a pretty nasty downtrend, and who knows where it's going next. I mean, based on back, we could go down to 25. We'll see. Again, it could turn. Right now, you're just kind of churning between 28 and 30. Okay. Goldman Sachs, Gulf Sierra, which we are still short as well. Look, it had a little bit of a bounce on Friday. Not a surprise. It's kind of interesting, Andy, that the banks with all these higher interest rates are not acting a little bit better based on their markets, but obviously they're telling you there's a lot of pressure in the overall economy.
Yeah,
what do you think?
Goldman, I would imagine, is making a lot of money trading, but just the interest in these stocks, it's just, there's more that sellers are more aggressive in them, right?
Yeah, they came out with a sell today on Coinbase.
Unbelievable. Which probably means they're buyers.
Right. If I got the chance to say that, I would have said that too. And again, they were the underwriters of this too. Yeah. So in the meantime, we're shorted here, Goldman, and I would think 305 would be a pretty good solid resistance. And I think you're looking at 290 to 305 and then below 280. Okay. IWM, India Whiskey, Michael. okay, which we remain short as well. Again, I thought last week I said we'd get to about 175, 180. Well, here we are. Okay, 175, just past it. Look, I sold this morning, and I'm a seller right now of these things. Okay, in addition to what I already carry, I think we're going lower. I think this is nothing more than a dead cat bounce. Okay, for today, I would make this 170 to 180, and right now, again, I'd have to see it at 180. But right now, if it ran the 180 right now, I'd be selling with both hands. Okay, but that's right now. Again, I can't speak for how it gets there over the next day if it does get there. Okay, but 170 to 180. Mara, which my source says is going to $3.15. Okay, we carry a position in it, but again, it was originally a regular position, but now it would be a position just to really be long, although we're still short. Okay, Michael Alpha Roma Alpha. Look, it's hardly moving. Which again, is Bitcoin bottoming? That would be the question. Again, it's very hard for me to look at penny stocks and give real levels. Okay, so but I'll do the best I can here. Obviously, when a professional that I know trades this or used to trade this almost exclusively, I had to give them the benefit of the doubt, and they tell me $3, and they didn't say they didn't say $3 now. When it was up here, they said it was going to $3. Okay, so I'm going to say that I would not be a buyer unless you want to gamble on Bitcoin. This is just another way to potentially gamble on it. Okay, but 6 to 8 would be what I'd be watching. Neo, November India Oscar, which we are long. Look, again, China has had some reasonably good action, and Andy nailed it for the reasons why we're seeing some action. And at the end of the day, I think, I'm not a big fan anymore, although I own some of this, but I would say, probably 25 on the top side and 22 is going to be some support. The trend is certainly higher. We're certainly long. You can ask about anything you want once I get there. Yeah. Okay? As long as you got a symbol. I'm not looking up symbols, but if you got a symbol, I'll look it up. I think I know that one, but you'll give me the symbol. Okay. Anyways, 22 to 24 Nugget, which we again didn't reverse, which is interesting, but again, kind of consistent. And it obviously looks just like GDX, just a little bit bigger. Okay, the sell-off looks a little bit bigger. This is the miners on steroids, double steroids. These are on Barry Bond steroids here. In the meantime, like 40 seems to be a level, and interesting enough, over the last 3 days, you've had 3 what they call inside days, right? You had a big move, and we've stayed inside there. All this tells you that there's another move coming, and based on the trend, it should be lower. Okay, I mean, certainly, I'd be a seller or be looking to be a seller at 44. Okay, and right now there really is no support until probably the next reverse split. NVIDIA, November Victor Delta Alpha, which we are also still short. So we still have holding quite a few shorts even through this rally. Now we came off the bottoms and we're running up a little bit. And I would say that 176 should be about as far as this can go if it gets that far. I think you get some support probably around 164, but I would be targeting the 156 level before I would think anything. And of course, obviously, you'd like to be short all the way through that. And I think we will be barring a move, but again, the trend is lower. You can say whatever you want. The trend remains down. Okay. Penn, Papa Echo, November. This is another piece of garbage. It's just a double the price piece of garbage of DraftKings. Again, how these guys are going to make money is why they're struggling so much, because they can't make enough. Okay, for what they give away. This is Barstool Sports. What's his name? But in the meantime, again, they have the better advantage right now, but that's not doing very well either from the horse racing side of it. But we're really just stuck in kind of a range. Okay, we're shorted still. I would say, here 28 to 34, and the Qs, Quebec, which we are also still short. I think that the pop we got, and I think now we're gonna get the drop. I can't see it going above 300. I think that your first support is gonna be about 285. I think that the 270 is in play. Okay, so 285 to 300, but I think 270 could play. I don't think it'll play by next week, but again, it's going to be thin, so it's hard to make any bold call one way or the other because the markets are going to be so thin. Because anything goes when there's no volume. Okay, Riot, which my source says would buy at no price, going to zero. Now, is it? I don't know. We carry no position here. As you know, we started carrying it with $6. We watched it go to 80 something, and now we're back at $4. Okay. Again, if you're going to trade this, just know that you're risking everything, whatever, $4, $5, and you're trying to play Bitcoin in a different manner. I think there's better ways to play Bitcoin now as well. Okay. I think BitQ is better than this. Okay. So, but again, it's for today, it's 4 to 6, which means I ain't selling it. I would only be a buyer. But I can't even see a trader. This has probably got to come off. Okay, especially since we carry no position whatsoever. Okay. Roku, Romeo Oscar Kilo uniform, which we reversed today. Okay. And of course it's just churning up near that 100 level. It tried to get through and failed, which is not a surprise. I think you get 90 to 100, even though we're long. I think 100 is going to be the key. If it can't get through 100, obviously it can't go anywhere. Okay. But certainly it did come off the bottoms nicely, and we did well on the short side, but you're really just in big consolidation. So I would say 90 to 100. Okay. And if you can get through 100, then it could run. That was kind of the key benchmark on the way down, which took us all the way down for quite a while. And now we're, trying to test that, once again. So we'll see where it goes from there. Another one of my recommendations, Sierra Quebec. Okay. Now we're still short this year. Okay, but I do own it. I'm long it in my retirement account. I did buy some more. Okay, and again, I'm thinking that they're fine, but they are heavily involved in cryptos and they have other things. But we're short here. But I would say 60 is some potential support, and certainly 75 to 80. Again, remember this can fly. Okay, this even though it's an $80 stock, a $70 stock, whatever it is, it can move a lot. I would be looking at this at potentially 80 as a potential sell spot, if not sooner. Again, if you're trading, we are already short. Okay. And, we'll see where it goes from there. But for here, I would say 60 to 80, which is a big range, but I'm assuming, hold on, before I make an ass out of myself, which I do well, let me just look at what the expectation is here. I mean, you're looking in the next 18 days, $10 the other way. But that kind of covers the range I just gave you. It's looking for $6 either way by Friday. So that kind of covers the levels I just gave you, either way. Okay. The SPY, Sierra Papa Yankee, again, we're still short. And I would think that, 390, 395 would be as far as we're going to go. I think 380 is in play. And I think the new lows are in play, which means we can go down to about 360. And lower, okay, which I think we will go, may not be tomorrow, but I think we're going there. And I'd much rather be a seller right now than a buyer. Okay. 380 to 380, we'll make it 380 to 400, Connie. Okay, 395. Excuse me. Tango, Quebec, which is the Q's on steroids, and a little bounce off the bottom. But here we are up against resistance. Now, I'm not an interested seller, okay, of this product. When certain things get to certain prices, if I were going to short the Qs or try to short the Qs, I would actually use the Qs themselves. I'm not really a big fan of selling a leverage ETF at $29 if I can short the actual underlying twice as much at 400 or 300. Okay. So remember, I'm going to look at the dollars and cents of what I can actually make first. So I'd be more inclined to want to be a buyer of this if the Qs reversed and got long. I'd be more inclined to want to be a buyer of this down at these levels. Now, when it was 100, I had no problem selling it. But at $28, I'm much more likely, if I'm going to trade it, the long side to be a buyer here. You're welcome, sir. Okay. Or, a seller of the Qs. Okay. And that's not Syracuse. So anyways, for today, Connie, 24 to 28. Tesla, Tango, Sierra, Lima, Alpha. It's kind of just stuck in consolidation. I mean, every time it looks like it's going to break out to the upside, it comes down to the downside. it really, to me, it looks like it's 640 to 740. Okay. I'm assuming that it'll make a move at some point here, but right now it looks 640 to 740. Okay. And win Whiskey Yankee November, which we are short. A little pop on Friday. Now, again, this is highly involved with China, but certainly has not reflected some of the strengths we've seen in some of the Chinese stocks recently. I would say this is probably 52.50 to 60. Now, I bought more of this. I'm a big believer in Win itself as a company. Okay. And I'm hedging it, so I'm not uncomfortable, but certainly we're still short it in our portfolios. Okay. And XBI, X-Ray Bravo India, it did break out at 7 level, and we got up to now 80. And now this is going to be a key. I would suggest we don't trade anymore, but my guess is we'd be long it if we were trading it. I think your big key here is going to be 80. I think you want to look at this probably from 74 to 80. If it can get above 80, it probably has a chance to run it. May be able to go back to the 100 level. Okay. It is breaking above some pretty key levels. I think the real key is going to be how it reacts. If it does get to 80, how it reacts when it gets to. Okay. And Zoom, which we no longer trade, but I said last week we would be long if we were in it, so we don't use it anymore. And it is bouncing nicely. And it did very much like Roku. Okay. It got below 100, it got ugly, and then it popped, and now it's trying to make another run higher. Now, I'm not a huge believer in these. I think these are more short covering type rallies, but the rally is just the same. Okay. And if you're in the trend, you don't really care why. But this, I would think, would be probably 125 would be the first real level to watch for resistance. I think you're probably 115 to 125 in Zoom for now. Okay. SI is a ticker, Sierra India. Is that right? Silver. I did know that. Okay. I mean, it looks pretty bad. I mean, you're looking at this, that you can see the trend is certainly ugly. Okay. I mean, would I buy it here? No. I think that you want to, I think for me to want to buy it, it would have to break back above, 66, 67, 68. Okay.
Looks like the rest of the crypto.
Yeah, it does. I think that 56 is some support. Okay. But the trend is certainly ugly.
I'll tell you, there's one thing about the crypto. When we started talking about it, maybe a year and a half ago or so, there was so few, we were all on Riot and Mara because there was nothing else. Now there's so much to look at there. So there's more potential, for, in fact, you just have to look at all these things and see how but right now they're all together, they're all,
right.
all in the toilet.
Agreed. Okay. But again, like I said, 56 to 70, 66, somewhere in that neighborhood. Angelical Minds, somebody wanted to Alpha Echo
Eagle,
whatever the hell they're called. It looks like they look like crap, whatever they are. Manico.
They look like they're digging deep.
I mean, 48 to 52. Look, if you're buying it because you believe in the future and you got capital to hold. If you're looking at the trend, it's down. Okay. 48 to 52. I'd only be a seller right now in this. Okay. AAL. They got to be the captain. I didn't have to look who it was. I know who it is. Right?
I'm so glad it was JetBlue that screwed me, not American.
Yeah, American's gone out of business anyways. We're just making him last another 2 years for the captain so he can get his pension out before they bust him. Okay. Look, American, you do have earnings for Delta and United this week. I don't know what they're going to look like. You got any clue, Captain? I have no idea. I mean, the airlines are not.
All these flight cancellations and rebates and stuff, they can't look good, can they?
I don't think so. High cost of fuel, lesser flights, but I don't know. They could.
I think, they got a lot going against them.
Altria got troubles. Okay, this is one of my.
Full, but there's so few of them, aren't there?
What's that?
He says the planes are full, but there's so few of them.
Right. I think that, and the costs are still going higher, which is a problem. Okay, planes are packed. Is right.
Oh, they're packed.
They're just less of them.
And take it from me, everyone's coughing and sneezing.
Okay. Altria's got trouble. Okay. Juul, one of their big products, has been banned. Okay. Again, vaping. Why? We can buy pot, we can buy alcohol, we can buy everything but vaping juice now. Okay. Why Juul got banned, I have no idea. Okay. It makes absolutely no sense. It does create a hell of a black market, though. But Altria pays a nice dividend, but the stock looks pretty bad right now. I mean, again, if you're buying it for dividend or you're buying it for future belief, fine, but certainly to trade it, it wouldn't be something I'd be looking at to buy right here. Okay. Airlines losing money in every seat, but making it about buying. That's true. Okay. Would you recommend taking money from the risk reversals that have been hedged and put it aside to buy stocks with better upside? Well, I mean, I buy stock all the time. Okay. In my hedging model, buy stock all the time. I mean, I've accumulated this year alone thousands of shares of stock. Okay. Airlines have a lot going on. I told you air travel would come back. You didn't tell me that, but it ain't coming back with vengeance. There's less planes. Okay. They're just making them more full so they can raise the price. They're in big trouble. Okay. The airlines and the hotel industry are in big trouble because they're showing losses year over year. Okay. And it's only getting worse. Okay. So you can tell me all you want about with vengeance. There ain't no vengeance here, baby.
You know what else is really doing bad? The cruise lines. Ooh.
Well, yeah, because look, again, the cost is nobody can afford them anymore.
They can't get, from what I read, they can't get people to work.
Yeah, well, that's another great thing from this administration. Nobody wants to work anymore either.
Yeah, it's amazing.
All right, listen, guys. Look, no call next Monday, July 4th.
Celebrate America.
Be careful this week. It's going to be very thin. And I'm going to say by Thursday afternoon, it'll be empty. Okay, which means it'll be very quiet.
Go to the beach or the golf course.
Brendan Hawaii says hotel workers didn't come back. Well, probably not. Look, nobody wants to work. This is the perfect setup for stagflation is as we are sitting here talking about it, it is happening right before our very eyes. Okay. I would just say be very careful. But again, trade the way you would trade, but be very careful. And this is not a time for aggression. Okay. It's a time to absolute levels that you can see. And even if you're wrong, know where you're getting out, know your exits at. In the meantime, have a great week and have be careful out there. And we will talk to you in 2 weeks. In the meantime, I'm sure I'll see a bunch of you tomorrow or whatever for futures trading. Andy, thanks, buddy. Feel better. I hope your dad does well. And